The beige yield sign that broke a tyrant. I never expected that my quiet life in East Briarwood would be upended over something as mundane as a stop sign. I didn't move into a suburban neighborhood to pick fights or lead protests. I just wanted to grill on weekends, take long walks with my dog, and occasionally argue about fence heights like a normal homeowner. But all of that changed last month when the president of our homeowners association, Meredith Langley, known in whispered tones as Madame Beige, decided that the four-way stop near my street was an aesthetic disruption. It began during the monthly HOA meeting, which I only attended because I was hoping to extend the pool hours for evening lap swimming. I sat quietly near the back of the community center, nursing a paper cup of stale coffee, while Meredith, with her perfectly angled platinum bob and a face that hadn't cracked a sincere smile since 2007, stood at the podium. And lastly, she said, her smile as rigid as the collar of her pastel pink blazer, I've noticed the stop sign at the corner of Birch and Rosemont is quite an eyesore. The red is just too aggressive. It doesn't harmonize with our neighborhood's soft sandstone palette. After discussing with the board, she didn't even glance at them. We've agreed to replace it with a beige yield sign. Installation begins Tuesday. My head snapped up. Birch and Rosemont was right outside my house. A notoriously busy four-way intersection where kids rode bikes, families crossed to the park, and delivery vans practically flew through. I raised my hand. Yes, Meredith asked, with the tone of someone being interrupted during eulogy. I'm sorry, but removing that stop sign is a safety issue. That's a major intersection. The board has already voted, she said with the air of royalty, swatting away a commoner's request. It'll be a tasteful beige yield sign. It'll blend beautifully with the new stonework at the main gate. This isn't about design, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. That stop sign is there for a reason. You can't just remove it because it doesn't match the color scheme. Her eyes narrowed. Mr. Turner, I've been president of this HOA for nearly 8 years. I think I understand the importance of visual cohesion. This is a matter of public safety, I replied, and I'm pretty sure the HOA doesn't have the authority to remove traffic signs. Those are city property. A few other neighbors nodded, but Meredith wrapped up the meeting before anyone could speak further. As we filed out, I approached her directly. Meredith, seriously, are you going to get someone hurt? She tilted her head and gave me a condescending smile. Oh, are you a civil engineer now? Or perhaps a municipal planner? No, but I know the city controls that intersection. Well, she said with a sniff, perhaps focus on your own property. That blue trim on your windows isn't HOA approved. You might want to get ahead of that before our next inspection. And with that veiled threat, she turned on her heel and walked away. That night, I emailed the city's traffic department, explaining the situation and attaching a photo of the intersection. I figured that would be the end of it. Surely the city would intervene before anything drastic happened. I was wrong. 3 days later, I was working from home when I heard metallic scraping from outside. I peeked through the blinds and saw 2 men wearing No City logo sunscrewing the stop sign. Meredith stood beside them, directing the operation like a wedding planner with a clipboard, wearing gardening gloves that had clearly never touched soil. I stormed out the front door, phone already in hand. What the hell are you doing? I shouted. Meredith turned slowly. Oh, Mr. Turner. Just expediting our improvement initiative. This is illegal. That sign is city property. Oh, please. I've spoken with my legal consultant. It's just a sign. A yield sign is safer for traffic flow anyway. That's not your call to make. I'm the HOA president, she replied with mock grandeur. This is part of our domain. I was already dialing 911. It's not, and you're going to have to explain that to the police. While I spoke with the dispatcher, the workers loaded the sign into a flatbed and prepared to drive off. Meredith smirked. I'm sure they'll understand when I tell them how it clashed with our landscaping plan. 10 minutes later, a patrol car pulled up. Officer Rodriguez stepped out, mid-40s, with the gait of a man who had mediated too many petty suburban squabbles. Ma'am, he asked, did you remove that traffic sign? Meredith smiled brightly. Yes, officer, but that's a city installation, he interrupted. Tampering with traffic control equipment is a criminal offense. Her face faltered. But I'm the HOA president. That gives you no authority to remove public safety infrastructure, he said. I'm going to need your ID and for that sign to be reinstalled immediately. As she fumbled for her license, another cruiser arrived, followed by a city maintenance truck. The man in the reflective vest introduced himself as Calvin Perez, a traffic supervisor. We got your email, he said to me. This intersection has a history of near accidents. That stop sign was part of a citywide safety initiative. Meredith, for once, had nothing to say. The officer issued her a citation on the spot for public endangerment and tampering with city property. Her face was pale, her voice barely above a whisper when she muttered, "This is your fault. You've humiliated me. No, marit irapia. You did that all on your own." As the sign was reinstalled, neighbors gathered in small clusters, watching. Meredith's phone buzzed. Barbara, the HOA treasurer. She didn't answer. Her humiliation was complete. 3 weeks later, we were called to an emergency HOA meeting. Barbara stood at the podium instead of Meredith. As many of you know, she began. Our HOA president appeared in court yesterday. She was fined $5,000, sentenced to 200 hours of community service with the city's traffic safety department, and required to reimburse the full cost of reinstalling the sign. Furthermore, the city has launched a full audit of our HOA's past year of actions. She paused. In light of these developments, the board has unanimously voted to remove Meredith Langley from her position. Just then, the door opened. Meredith stepped in, unaware of the verdict. She froze. "Ah, Meredith," Barbara said smoothly. "We were just updating everyone about your removal." You can't do this," Meredith sputtered. "You endangered the public and exposed the HOA to legal liability," Barbara replied. "That's a breach we can't overlook." Meredith looked around, searching for support. She found none. Her gaze landed on me, cold and furious. $5,000, she hissed. "And community service for a stop sign?" She turned, storming out as the room sat in stunned silence. It's been quiet since then. The stop sign stands firm, and so does the principle behind it. All it took was one bad decision to reveal that behind the curtain of HOA authority, Meredith Langley was just a woman obsessed with beige and blind to consequence. Sometimes, justice doesn't arrive in a courtroom, it arrives in the form of a red octagon, bolted back into place under a blue sky.